My Lord and my God, I firmly believe that you are here, that you see me, that you hear me. I adore you with profound reverence. I ask your pardon for my sins and the grace to make this time of prayer fruitful. My Immaculate Mother, Saint Joseph, my Father and Lord, my guardian angel, intercede for me. Jesus, every time you accepted a dinner invitation from a Pharisee, you knew that you would suffer. After all, you could read the hearts of everyone at any given dinner party, for that matter, any gathering. Your Sacred Heart, overflowing with divine love, would be met with hostility, suspicion, hard-heartedness. Well, that is certainly the case in today's Gospel. We read, as St. Luke tells us, on a Sabbath, Jesus went to dine at the home of one of the leading Pharisees. And the people there were observing him carefully. What a shame that rather than enjoying your presence, they were there watching every single move that you made, hoping to catch you making a mistake. Well, then that other incredible contrast. St. Luke continues, in front of him there was a man suffering from dropsy. Now, of course, we don't use the word dropsy anymore. We would say today edema, which means abnormal swelling. But what a painful word, literally. This man was suffering. And yet, as you, Jesus, looked at the hearts of all those present, you realized they were oblivious to his suffering. In fact, for most of the Pharisees, they only saw an anonymous face. Maybe one or two of them were more sensitive and thought to themselves, the poor person. But for the most part, nothing. We could have given to most of them the nickname Iceman. You, on the other hand, you were filled with compassion. This scene shows us the very essence of hardness of heart. It makes us suffer. It also makes us be amazed, marvel at your eyes of mercy. That is what we want to get out of this time of prayer. Jesus, we want to be able to see any given situation through your eyes, through your heart. We know very well that we all have this tendency to judge, to be down on others, even without knowing them. If we need to be convinced, all we have to do is go to the nearest street corner and observe our thoughts as people walk by. Undoubtedly, we will think to ourselves, where did you buy that jacket? Which barber do you use? And why do you still go to that barber? Things like that. You could call this a kind of existential pecking order. It seems that on chicken farms, the chickens go around pecking each other in order to establish some kind of hierarchy. Well, we, undoubtedly because of original sin, have this very same tendency to judge. And yet, Jesus, you are teaching us that in order to perceive reality correctly, we need a good, merciful heart. You might recall that wonderful thought from The Little Prince, that novel that you read undoubtedly in high school. It is only with the heart that one can see rightly. What is essential is invisible to the eye. It is only with the heart that one can see rightly, that we can perceive reality correctly. And so, Lord, our very first petition to you is to give us that kind of a good heart, a merciful heart. We love knowing, because you've told us, that the merciful are pleasing to God. In fact, our mercifulness is the condition on which we, in our turn, may find mercy in your eyes. There is something magical about mercy. To the extent that we are merciful, we can then perceive the nobility of every single person around us. That nobility that comes from their being created in the likeness of God. One person put it this way: we should never look at a person without there being present before our eyes the entire gravity and solemnity of the things that are the objective theme of every human soul. It's a very profound, very dense thought, which comes down to something very simple. We are all the same. No matter who we're looking at. It could be someone on the subway. We have to have before our eyes the objective themes of that person. We all want to be loved. We all want to be respected, appreciated. We want to be paid attention to. And so right now we make that resolution to bring before our eyes the entire gravity and solemnity of those themes that are the essence of being a human being. Some years ago, the Holy Father wrote the document Gaudete et exultate, rejoice and be glad. You will recall that he goes through each one of the Beatitudes, including, blessed are the merciful, for they will receive mercy. Pope Francis says, mercy has two aspects. On the one hand, it involves giving, helping, and serving others. But it also includes forgiveness and understanding. The Pope continues. In the Gospel of Luke we read, be merciful, even as your Father is merciful. Judge not, and you will not be judged. Condemn not, and you will not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. Give, and it will be given to you. Then Luke adds something not to be overlooked. The measure you give will be the measure you get back. The yardstick we use for understanding and forgiving others will measure the forgiveness we receive. The yardstick we use for giving will measure what we receive. We should never forget this, the Holy Father concludes. Well, this is a recipe for holiness. Giving, forgiving, understanding, ultimately seeing and acting with mercy. Another aspect of being merciful is explained to us by Pope Francis in another document, Amoris Laetitia, the joy of love. At one point he says, develop the habit of giving real importance to the other person. This means appreciating them, recognizing their right to exist, to think as they do, and to be happy. We have to put ourselves in their shoes and try to peer into their hearts, to perceive their deepest concerns, and to take them as a point of departure for further dialogue. This is hard, to put ourselves in someone else's shoes, ultimately to be on their side, to be really and truly wanting, consciously wanting the good for them. That takes interior life, which is why we're praying about this. Well, we have to respect different temperaments. Otherwise, we can become very frustrated, irritated, if another person does not respond to us in the same way we respond to them. Everything changes when we look at people through the lens of mercy. Or to put it another way, as Pope Francis says again in Amoris Laetitia, people can appear very different to us, depending on whether we look at them with or without affection. Mercy is not just a praiseworthy attitude of our hearts. It is a necessary condition if we are to get to know others without the distortions introduced by our self-love. Looking at people mercifully does not mean becoming sentimental, but rather seeing them as God sees them. Then we see them as they really are, men and women with virtues that we admire, but also with defects that probably make them suffer, even if they don't show it, and that call for our understanding and help. Without mercy, on the other hand, Our view is deprived of breadth and depth, and we diminish others. Looking at them affectionately, with love, enables us to know them better, and so also to love them better. Well, Mary, you know us so well. You already can see the resolution we want to formulate. After all, you look at us with such infinite understanding, with eyes of mercy, compassion. You want the very best for us. Obtain for us from your Son that capacity, that talent of really and truly appreciating, loving, respecting all those around us. I thank you, my God, for the good resolutions, affections, and inspirations that you have communicated to me in this meditation. I ask your help in putting them into effect. My Immaculate Mother, Saint Joseph, my Father and Lord, my guardian angel, intercede for me.